Good afternoon, design artist. And I'd like to thank the people of Design West for inviting me here this afternoon to talk to you guys. What I'd like to talk about today is collaboration, because that's where hopefully all you guys are going to be going to in your future careers or in your current careers. And in particular, the collaboration of different artistic elements by different individuals towards one artistic aim or vision. Rather than talk about rather than give example about something that I've done in my career as a filmmaker, I decided to talk about a couple of things that I learned very, very, very early on, way before I ever made a movie, that I proceeded to utilize in my career when I became a working professional. And if you ask me, how do I blend these different elements, it's what I learned then. And I'm going to try to pass this on now. I made my first movie in '91. It was called Reservoir Dogs. It was released in '92. And 4 years before that, I was a clerk in a video store in Manhattan Beach, California called Video Archives. Some of you might have heard that story. It's a little popular. Anyway, when I was in that video store making film, not making films, thinking about making films, renting films, I knew one day I would be a director. Everyone heard me say that. I don't think anyone else quite believed it as much as I did, and I don't even know why I believed it that much. But I did believe it. And this was at that time, especially when I was in my 20s, I saw everything that came out. I saw Out of Africa twice at the Cinerama Dome. I saw all the epics, I saw all the Oscar movies, I saw all the comedy vehicles that came out, but I saw all the independent films, and I saw all the exploitation movies. Back then there was companies dedicated to making exploitation movies like Canon Pictures and Empire Pictures, and I went and saw all of those. And while I watched all these different movies, particularly when I saw a low-budget movie, an American independent film, or an exploitation movie, I paid special attention to those films. Because I figured if I ever got a chance to make a movie, it would probably be a low-budget movie. And so I wanted to see what was possible, what was out there. And it was very interesting when you looked at those when you went to the Beverly Center or you went to a multiplex and watched these different movies that were made for $500,000 or $600,000 or $800,000 or $1 million. The looks that they had, the quality of them was very variable. Because film can be very, very unforgiving. All the films were shot in film back then, obviously. And film can be very, very unforgiving. And if you don't have enough lights to create good lighting, if you don't have enough time to create good lighting, if you don't have enough talent to create good lighting, your stuff's going to look like crap. And I saw a lot of movies done in that budget range that looked flat. They got an image and it looked more or less professional, but back in '88, it would be what I would think of as television, even though television looks better now. All right, but I would think of it as sort of television. But at least television looks professional. Then there were the movies that just really looked bad. And they looked really cheesy, and they looked amateurish. So there's that level. Then there's the TV level, the flat level. But still a story can be told on that level. And then there were the films that were better than that. And I use an example, Coen Brothers' Blood Simple, all right, where they had really good elements, and that was really special. Now the sword of Damocles hanging over my head was I knew what I wanted my movies to look like. I knew the ones that I wanted them to look like. I wanted them to look like Blood Simple or something comparable to that. But I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to not do this. make it crappy, amateurish. I didn't know how to do that. And so that was this sort of Damocles hanging over my head during all my talk and all my aspirations of being a director is, would my stuff look pathetic? Or would it look beyond professional, but would it look good? And I didn't, because I had no technical knowledge, I didn't know how to do that. So there always was this sort of Damocles. I mean, I figured everybody who spent time on a movie set tried to make their movies look good. The worst ones I'd ever seen, I'm sure they worked really hard on them. What could stop me from being different from them? Well, lo and behold, eventually, I wrote a script called Reservoir Dogs, and we got the money to make the movie. And when I was in pre-production, I sent the script to the Sundance Lab for the director's program, and I got accepted into it. And that was a tremendous opportunity, absolutely tremendous. Because also, a lot of the other people were there hoping to get their movies made. I was actually going to make my movie. I was going to go and do this wonderful course and then go into production. It was a special, special thing. And part of the thing of the Sundance Lab is they'd have all these really wonderful professionals come in and talk to you and talk about your film, and they watch the stuff that you did, and they give you advice, and you could ask them questions. And we're there for like 3 weeks. And so 1 week, a whole group of professionals would come in, and you spend the whole week with them. Then they'd FO, and then another group would come in, and then you spend another week with them, and then they'd FO, and then somebody else would come in. And the second week group of resource people was Terry Gilliam, at the height of his fame. You know, having just finished, no, he was actually in post-production on Fisher King at the time. Stanley Donen, director of Singing in the Rain and On the Town, amongst others. Volker Schlorndorff, director of The Tin Drum, and the editor of Badlands, which was one of my favorite movies. That was a real, real exciting group. And on the first day he was there, they put me together with Terry Gilliam. And we had a little lunch by the picnic tables there, and he had read the script and he liked it, and so we were talking. I was so starstruck, I couldn't even tell you. At this time in film, he was probably the most renowned of all the great visual directors, of all the great visionary directors of that particular time. And it was interesting. So I'm talking to him, and he's giving me advice about this or that and the other. Half the time I'm talking to him, I just can't wait to get back home to my video store so I can tell all my friends that I've been talking to Terry Gilliam. I even asked him a question about crossing the line, and then he took a napkin and drew out this diagram of, okay, guys looking this way, and then the guy's looking that way, with a crazy little Terry Gilliam character that actually kind of looked like Volker Schlorndorff, frankly, to tell you the truth. And then he finished the drawing, and he starts to throw it away. Like, oh, wait a minute! Can I have that? And he goes, what do you, oh, well, you know, because it's a little, you've described it so well, so I have this little thing that I can look at, and no, I wanted an original Terry Gilliam drawing that I could show to my friends at Video Archives, that this is drawn by Terry Gilliam. So, while I was there talking to him, well, this is a visual director. This is a visual director when he did Brazil. He didn't capture lightning in the bottle. He knew what he was doing, and he executed it, and then he executed it again in Baron Munchausen, and he continued to execute it. So he knew what he was doing in this regards. So he was the guy to ask this question to. The way I asked it was, well, Terry, you have a vision. You have a direct cinematic vision in your movies, and it goes from movie to movie to movie, and you can see that. How do you do that? And he goes, well, look, Quentin, maybe because you've never really been on a movie set before, maybe you don't understand exactly how it works. So let me explain it to you a little bit. See if this is. So he goes, Quentin, it's not your job to create your vision. It's your job to have a vision. And then it's your job to hire talented individuals, to hire talented artists who understand your vision. And you articulate it to them. And then they take your vision and they create it. And by them creating it, you part it back a little bit, you add a little bit to it, but your vision is still a two-dimensional vision. They will take the different elements of your vision and make it three-dimensional. And then you'll get back more than you gave them, and then you'll know even more what you're talking about and what you're seeing, and then the vision will get filled in. You think you have to do everything, and you don't. You don't need to know anything about sewing to have wonderful costumes in your films. You just need to express what you want to the costume designers. You don't need to have a degree in engineering to have magnificent sets in your pieces. You need to describe what it is you want. You don't need to know how to take a bunch of different light stands and put them together to create a specific lighting effect. That's not your job. You don't need to know any of that. What you need to know is you need to have a vision and you need to know how to express it. And then you let the other people take it and do it for you. That is what a director does. I can't tell you how that sword of Damocles that it hung over my head from the moment that I started to try to really seriously consider being a filmmaker, how daunting it was. And because I didn't go to film school or anything, it was like there was always this argument that I always have in myself. Is this real or am I just being a dreamer? And the fact that I didn't know how to do those different things always put me in the debate amongst myself, dreamer or artist. That was always ammunition for the dreamer side of the debate. And in one answer like that, that sort of Damocles went away. Because I did have a vision, I did know what I want, and I could describe it. That I could do, I can describe it, I can talk about it. That is what I know I can do. And pretty much since then, that's what I did. And that is how, if you think my films have a certain look or a certain aesthetic, that is how I've created it. I've worked with very talented people and described to them ad nauseum, through both my descriptions and through cinematic examples and through comic books and through all kinds of different other little multimedia things that I like to evoke. That's how I've gotten it across. At that same Sundance Lab, this will just be geared just a little bit more towards costume for just 2 seconds, but it happened in the same lab. One of the other directors that was there was the director Ulu Grossbard. And on this, and I know you guys are coming not from a directing place, but this might be an interesting thing for any directors who hear this speech or writing about it or something like that, because I think it was very important for me, and it's something I carried through the entire time. I worked with Ulu Grossbard, and he knew I was going into the movie, so he was trying to give me some practical advice that I could literally take into the production office with me as I left. And one of the things that he said, he goes, let me give you a piece of advice that the people in your production, not only will they tell you not to do this, it'll be a big pain in the ass for them if you say you want to do that. Because now they're going to have to schedule around it. So they're not going to come up with it on your own, and you're going to have to make them do it because they're not going to want to do it. But every time you have a costume fitting, you, the director, need to be in that fitting. because the character is being born in that moment right there, when they put on these shoes, when they put on these pants, you know, this one versus that one. And yes, the costume designer can do it with the person and they can send you pictures. But an important part of the creative process is happening without you. And if you're a writer-director like you are, you need to be there as your characters are crowning, basically. And he gave me a piece and to point up his point, he said, because he had worked with Robert De Niro, and he goes, well, like just for instance, Robert De Niro. The minute Robert De Niro figures out the pair of shoes his character would wear, that's about 75% of him getting a handle on who the character is. What type of shoes you buy and you wear constantly, the ones you put on all the time, that helps tell you who you are, and that helps him. Now, years later, I ended up working with Robert De Niro. And I'm kind of talking him into playing the character. He wanted to play another character, and I wanted to catch somebody else for that. But he kind of still wanted to be involved in the movie, so I'm kind of trying to nudge him towards the character I wanted him to play. And he's now more inclined to kind of think about it. And he goes, now, because Ulu told me, I had a suspicion this question would come. And he goes, what kind of shoes does he wear? I go, well, it's funny that you asked that. Because the character of Lewis has been in jail for the last 5 years. He's only been released at the start of the movie for maybe like 6 or 7 days. He's only been out of jail at the most a week. And so he had just a clunky pair of old black, you know, what a while ago would have been dress shoes. They're now scuffed. However, because he's been in jail for 5 years, he took off his street clothes. All those street clothes were put into a paper bag. So he's just been wearing the clothes that were in that paper bag for the last 5 years. And then one of the shoes was at the bottom, and then the toe of the shoe got folded over a little bit because of all the stuff down. And then they put other clothes, bags on top of that, and other bags on top of that, and other bags on top of that. So that one shoe has the toe of it is kind of curled over just a little bit like that. So he has to kind of flex his foot just a little bit to keep it together. Now, later in the movie, he's going to buy new clothes, and Sam Jackson's going to buy him different clothes and everything. But at the beginning of the movie, that is what he was wearing. Well, needless to say, he really enjoyed the detail that I gave him about it. One, because it suggested that I'd thought about it a little bit, and I had of. All right, but also it just suggested a tremendous amount of character for him. And by that time, I was used to going into the room, and we little by little put the clothes together in just the right way. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say about collaboration. But just know that when you're working, depending on the different mediums that you're working in, whether it's a video or movies or television or a theatrical production or a concert production or variety show or a mime show, whatever you guys are doing, a magic show, whatever you end up working on, it's also part of your job. Not every director understands everything it is you guys do, and it's part of your job to, like Deborah said, take the curse off of it a little bit, make it more approachable. Keep talking about story. Keep talking about character and how it applies to your bit. You're going to meet people that you're going to work with. You're going to work with other people that are going to be real know-it-alls, and you're going to work with people who know exactly what they want, and that's wonderful. But you're also going to work with a lot of people who are going to be intimidated and don't quite get it. And it's your job to, in the nicest, most loving way possible, make them get it. And then but then you've not only helped yourself, you've helped out everybody else they will ever work with in a way that'd be very profound. So anyway, thank you very much for inviting me here this afternoon. This was very lovely, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, tree people, he said. Thank you, Quentin. Absolutely inspiring, a great reminder of why we're all here, why this matters to be together. Thank you so, so much. Absolutely incredible. A few final thank yous as we wrap up and give you a chance to then eat some more and join us back on the stage of the Freud Playhouse. This is a school of theater, film, and television. Our designers work across all those areas, and we're joined today as well by my very favorite partner in this adventure. The chair of our Department of Film, Television, Digital Media, Kathleen McHugh, is here. So I wanted to send this, have you say hello. Thank you, Kathleen. Also, a thank you to the incredible team we have up in our theater department: Inga Johnston, Annette Leigh, Natasha Rubin, Patricia Beege, Mibaka Johannes. They all helped make today possible. Thank you for getting us here. Also, thank you to our great additional theater staff in both administration and production. Thank you all for making it happen today. Thank you, thank you. A very special thank you for this beautiful lunch. Sandy Hall and her team did a great, great job putting it together. Thank you so much for making it all possible. Finally, thank you to our great student designers and to all of you for coming and joining us today. Starting at 2 o'clock, we're going to be back in the Freud Playhouse. Come back, join us, spend more time. Don't feel as rushed. Enjoy the detail of it all. And today is about all of us mixing together and shaking hands and saying hello. So make sure you get to spend some time doing that. And to entice you, there'll be cookies and coffee in there, a new addition this year. So you can't beat that. And finally, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to Motion Picture Costumers, IA Local 705. Thanks for being here, everybody. Please say hello. It's great to have you here, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.